Hey guys, I'm sorry. I had some technical difficulties. I'm sorry I'm a little late. So I am really excited to, I mean, many of you probably already know Michelle, but kind of introduce you and give a lead in to what she'll be speaking about this evening. So Michelle, if you don't already know her, I've had the honor of running a coaching group, and she's a part of the group. And so I've gotten to really know her and just how dependable she is, how organized she is. She's so generous in her information, in sharing, and just like all the ideas. I'm literally blown away. And on one of the calls, she shared the system that she's going to be sharing with you tonight. There was, I think, 5 or 6 of us on the call, and we were all like, what? Like, wait, what did you just say? So she has this amazing system, and it's so simple. That is, I mean, guys, that's like the name of the game right now. I believe for me, I'm just like, give me simple, give me simple, give me simple. And that's what she's going to give us. But along with just being organized, she's so personable, so friendly, and has an incredible heart. She is a leader that I would want to follow. And I'm just so excited that you guys get to hear from her and hear all that she has to say tonight. So I'll go ahead and give it to her. Make sure you take notes. And I'm so glad we're recording this because I know that you're going to want to share this with the teams that aren't able to make it tonight. So Michelle, we're really excited to hear from you. I cannot wait to hear everything you prepared.
Thank you, ladies. Thank you, Tracy, for having me. And Rachel, thank you for turning my idea into beautiful graphics that we can now share with everybody. So for those of you who don't know me, my name is Michelle Jernigan. I am an executive leader in the Orlando, Florida area. I have 2 little girls. I have a 3-year-old and an 8-month-old. I have a full-time corporate job. I'm an operations manager. I've been with the company that I'm with now for coming up on 9 years in June. And at night, when my kids go to bed, I am building a Young Living business. So I'm going to start by just taking you through my story, my Young Living story. I think it'll give you a better idea of what challenges I had and why I needed systems and why these systems are working for me. And hopefully you'll find something that you relate to and find something that will work for you. So I started Young Living in January of 2020. And fun fact, I signed up with a basic kit with a bottle of lavender and a bottle of purification, not on ER. So I say that because I know sometimes we subconsciously assign value to our members based on the type of kit that they start with or whether or not they're on ER. So I'm the perfect example that if you just make opportunities available to everybody, education and business, that sometimes they might surprise you. So fun fact. I signed up in January 2020. I hopped on ER finally in March 2020. And then in April 2020, I decided I wanted to do this as a business. So let me just walk you through what life looked like for me in April of 2020, the magical year that it was. So April of 2020, I was working full time. My husband was working full time. We were both at home. My almost 2-year-old at the time, her daycare was closed thanks to COVID. So she was home with us and I was 5 months pregnant. So my days looked a little something like this. I would wake up in the morning and I was on toddler duty until she went down for a nap. So in the morning, I was with my toddler all morning. She went down for a nap. From about 11 to 5:30-ish, I worked my corporate job. Keep in mind, it's a 40-hour-a-week job. So I was taking a break at 5:30, doing dinner time, bath time, bedtime. And then at 7 o'clock, I was back online working my corporate job, finishing things up for the day. And then somewhere around 8:30, 9 o'clock, I was building my Young Living business. So I know it seems like kind of aggressive to some people, and some of you are like, okay, workaholic. And I'm an Enneagram 3 with a red-green personality. So you're not wrong. But I just found that there were things I was spending my time on, things I was giving my time to that weren't serving me. So I love me some trash TV. But watching trash TV for 2 hours every night was not putting dollars in my bank account, but building a Young Living business was. So for me, I was having more fun building a business than I was watching TV. So that's kind of where you can find the time in your day. If you do find yourself too busy to build a business, I promise you, you're not. You can find that time somewhere else. Let's see. So, sidebar. I have had people who have seen me in a season of hustle, and they have said things like, oh, you can do it all. You're super mom. And I don't ever want people to see me as something that's not attainable to them, because I think that when we say like, oh, moms can do it all, like that's trash, right? Like we can't do it all. And if you're a mom who has heard like you're doing it all, you know that you're not. And the best way that I've heard this described was in a podcast. And I can't remember the name of the podcast off the top of my head, but they compared this whole motherhood, working mom thing to juggling. And you're juggling either glass balls or plastic balls. So when you're juggling a glass ball, if you drop it and it breaks, it's shattered. But if you drop a plastic ball, you can just pick it back up and toss it right back in the air. So you find things in your life that are glass balls and things in your life that are plastic balls. For me, my glass balls are my family and my full-time job. Because if everything else falls, those are the things I have to keep in the air. A plastic ball for me would be something like housework. Like I hate cleaning. One day I'm going to pay somebody to clean my house, but I'm just not there yet. I probably have laundry sitting in the dryer right now. Hopefully it's not in the washer, but that's a plastic ball for me. If I drop it, I'll pick it up when I get to it, and it's not a big deal. Some periods of time, my Young Living business is a glass ball, because seeing my business thrive just fulfills me, and I don't need rest. So maybe I'll make self-care a plastic ball. And then sometimes it flips. Sometimes I need the rest, and I'm okay putting my Young Living business to the side to take that rest. So that whole sidebar to say that don't get stuck in comparison, because when you compare yourself to somebody else, you can't see the balls that they are dropping to keep the balls that you see in the air. So just wanted to share that with you guys. So when you see people and you're like, you're doing all the things, like I promise you, no one's doing all the things. And if they are, they're not doing all of them well. So systems. Okay, let's get into systems. My business grew pretty quickly. I then had a baby, and then I had 2 kids at home out of daycare by myself while my husband went back to work. And then in November of 2020, I was back to work. And all that time, my to-do list is growing. So do I have any other list makers on this call? So I can't function without a to-do list, which is a blessing and a curse, because sometimes my to-do list just gets to the point where it's so big and overwhelming that I'm paralyzed by it. And that's where I was in November 2020. I was back at work and I'm working, then I'm with the kids, and then nighttime rolls around and I get to my list and I just didn't even know where to start. I wanted to host this class, follow up with this person, send happy mail to this person. It was taking me 30 minutes to an hour to even get in like the mental state to figure out what I needed to do. And when you only have 2 hours a day to work your business, 30 minutes to an hour, that's 25 to 50% of your time. And that's a productivity killer. So I had to figure out a way to be efficient with my time where I could sit down and go. So that's when I figured I needed a system. I was listening to all the podcasts that were saying, oh, you need a system, you need a system. By the way, pay for my masterclass and I'll tell you the secret sauce to the system. And I had to make a decision, right? I have 2 hours a day. At some point, you have to decide, are you going to spend your time learning or are you going to spend your time doing? And I needed to spend my time doing, which meant I had to figure out the systems for myself. So I tried a couple things, I failed at a couple things. And then in December, I went into the 12 Days of Diamonds group and I saw Jill On-Call's video, and she was talking about grouping like people together and working those people like simultaneously. So for example, your new members, like you do all the same things for new members. So why don't you just work on them all at the same time? And then your members on ER, like you're doing all the same things. You're looking for missed ER, like all the same things. So just do those people together. So that's what I did. So I made myself a little notebook. So I'm a pen and paper girl. I did this in a spreadsheet and it didn't work for me because for me, opening my computer or opening my phone, it's a distraction for me. I'll get a notification, you know, I've got Google at my fingertips, I've got Facebook at my fingertips. Like if I need to be efficient, I have to stay out of my phone. So I do it in a notebook. I have a tab for each group of people. I've got a tab for prospects, a tab for new members, members on ER, members not on ER, and every person has their own page. So in my prospect list, I will have one page per person, which is kind of different, right? Because a lot of people will say like, make your list of 100 people. So you've got like all 100 names on one piece of paper. For me, it helps to keep them separate because when somebody moves from a prospect to a new member, I just pop out their piece of paper and put it in a different tab. And I can keep all my notes for that person on one page. So what I'll do is when someone needs immediate follow-up, I will put like an open checkbox on their page. So prospect, I send a sample to them. I need to follow up on the sample. I put an open checkbox that says follow up on sample, ask how they liked it, whatever. So that when I get to the day where I'm focusing on my prospects, I just look for my open checkboxes. So that's kind of how I work these systems, but I'll share the list with you guys too, so that you can see like what types of activities are on my list. So that if I maybe don't have any open checkboxes for the day, I can just go to my list and just boom, 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 like knock out all the things that I need to do. So the first group that I want to share with you guys, and let me open up Canva and see if I can share these graphics with you guys that Rachel so graciously made for us. Okay. Share my screen. All right. Okay. Can you guys see this? I'm going to make it bigger. Yeah. Okay. All right. So my first group that I work is my prospects. And let me just say, the word prospects gave me a mental block for a long time. I had a friend several years ago, actually, who was a realtor, and he would always talk about prospecting and how he was like cold calling people and saying like, do you want to sell your house today? And that's what he did. And he called it prospecting. So in my mind, I hear the word prospecting and I just think like slimy used car salesman. So for me, I had to change my mindset about prospecting. So that's why the very first thing on here is make new friends, because really that's what prospecting is. You're making new friends, you're finding new people that you want to be friends with, and you're reaching out to them. And you're reaching out to them authentically. And the reason I say that is because I know we've all had that person. It actually just happened to me a couple of weeks ago where I log into Instagram and right there on my feed, the first like 10 notifications are all from the same person. And you know what she did? In the course of 1 minute, she went through and liked 5 of my posts, 2 of which were over 2-minute long IGTV videos. So I know she didn't watch 2 IGTV videos to like them in 1 minute, you know? She followed me, she commented on something, and I look at her profile and she's a coach. So she didn't really say anything that was inauthentic or sleazy, but what she did by engaging in my content that quickly was she basically told me like, I'm only engaging with you because I want you to buy something from me. So that's kind of what I think about when I am prospecting and trying to make friends with other people, is I don't ever want to make somebody feel like that. So for me, if I am making new friends on social media, I'm adding them as a friend or I'm following them, and then I'm adding them to my prospect notebook so that when they post something that I genuinely connect with, I can make that genuine connection with them and comment, and it'll be authentic because I'm not just going through and like mass making friends with people, you know? So make new friends. I try to do 5 to 10 new friends a week. just anybody that I meet, like maybe old friends that I haven't connected with in a long time, people on social media, just, like you find people. So 5 to 10 new people I try to add to my prospect tab every week, and then be a friend to them. Doesn't have to be around oils. You don't have to shock oils to people every single time. Just be a good friend. And I know it sounds like silly to even have that on a list, but as a mom, as a busy mom, like I need a reminder to be a good friend sometimes. So that's why it's here. And then invite. So invite them to classes, invite them to try a sample. So if you have a friend who's posting about not sleeping well or her kid's not sleeping well, like, hey, do you want to try this sample? And then invite them to look at any incentives that are going on when they're ready. Like, don't just go to somebody with, hey, Young Living's doing a Mother's Day sale this month. Like, do you want to get a kit? If you feel like it's their time, invite them to look at the incentive. If you don't feel like it's their time, maybe invite them to a class. But there's always something that you can invite somebody to. And then last, follow up. So whatever you invited them to, follow up on it. But then once you're done following up, you're not done with this person because you got through this list. You circle back up to the top, you be a friend to them, you invite them to something else, you follow up with them again. And until you move them to a new group, to like your member group, you're just going to continue investing in them as a prospect. So that's the prospect list. So I'll take one group and I'll do it each day. So on Mondays, those are typically my prospect days because Mondays I'm fresh, my mindset's good, and I'm just in the best headspace to tackle my prospect list. And then on Tuesdays, I will do, let me see if I can move that over. Here we go. Okay, Tuesday is my new member day. New member, I consider to be anybody that's on Fast Start. So the first 3 months are on Fast Start. I'm working from my new member checklist. Again, be a friend. So you'll see some familiar things on here. Be a friend, invite, and follow up. The reason why I did that is because I was overcomplicating my business. And I was making it into all of these teeny tiny little tasks that were all like so complex, when really, if you don't know where to start, you can probably fit any IPA, income producing activity, into one of 4 things. Make a friend, be a friend, invite, and follow up. That's it. So you're going to see those things on all of these lists, because I think if you are in a place where you need to simplify, I think that's how you can do it. So your new members, be a friend to them. Check in with them. What kinds of things are they looking for? What do they need in their life? Help them with those things. When you're being a friend to somebody and they enroll with you, you already know what they got, which makes sending a welcome package easy. Because if I know that I have somebody who enrolled with a PSK, I will send them a sample of Thieves household cleaner because I know they don't have it. I'll send them information on how to use their PSK, maybe some empty rollers that they can play with. So really being a friend to somebody only helps you with all of these other things, because you know where your conversations should go. Send them a welcome email, make sure they have everything they need, plug them into the community. Again, if you're being a friend to somebody, you know how much information they want. If they are like, tell me all the things, like send me information, put them in all the Facebook groups. If they are kind of overwhelmed by it, maybe put them in one Facebook group, just plug them into somewhere where they can get that education, and then invite them to classes, maybe a new to oils class, or if they got a Thieves kit, like a non-toxic home or a ditch and switch class, just anything that's going to help them find value in what they've already invested in. And then when you get the sense that they're ready for more, then maybe start inviting them to things that you think would be interesting to them that they haven't tried yet. And then follow up. So for me, follow up is key for my new members. My first follow up is 2 weeks. So I will check in with somebody. I'll make sure that their kit arrived okay. And the reason that's so critical is because I had a member one time who her kit got there and she added some other things to her kit. And it was like kind of when all the shipping stuff was going down, and it was just a hot mess. Like she had stuff said that it shipped to her and that it got there and it wasn't in her box. And like, had I not followed up with her, she would have kind of been on her own to deal with that. But because I followed up with her and because she shared that feedback with me, I was able to intercept that and work with member services for her. And I made her first experience with Young Living probably better than it would have been. So that's why I think the 2-week follow-up is really important, just to make sure that they got everything like they were supposed to get it. And then follow up in 1 month, especially for your people who are on ER. I like to follow up and give them, so I tell them just a reminder, hey, your ER is scheduled to process on this date. I will send them a video. So I actually did, I made like a little YouTube video. It's not very good, but I made it. And I just walk through like how to change your ER order, some suggestions of things to try, but it's like me, it's my voice walking them through how to change their order. So if they need help doing that, they have that video. And I will just see if they need recommendations on what to try. So I do that at 1 month, but then I also at 1 month will send samples. So for me, all my new members, so again, they're my fast start people, they get a sample from me once a month until they age out of fast start. And the reason I do that is because I feel like when people are on fast start, that's when like the hype for Young Living is the highest it's going to be. And they are more willing to accept information about the full product line that Young Living has. And they're more willing to try new things because they do have this like nice, exciting new product to try. So my members on Fast Start, I give them a sample in their welcome package. I give them a sample at 1 month, and then I give them a sample at 2 months. So that's kind of what I do in the 1 month and 2 month follow-ups. And then again, making sure they're comfortable with how to change their ER order, how to find new products to try. If they want to do a wellness plan, walking them through that. You can point them to the Life Steps app. There's a lot of different things that you can do for this group, but very simply, like these are the things that I do. So then when somebody ages out of Fast Start, I move them into my members on Subscribe to Save if they're on Subscribe to Save or ER. Again, be a friend to them, follow up with them, send them happy mail. So I try to do quarterly happy mail, and I really haven't been the best at it the last couple months, but I'm going to get back into it because when you think about it, your members on ER, like that's where your business is coming from, and they're showing you that they're loyal to you. So I think it's important to thank them and show them how grateful you are to them. So I will do like postcards, and then at Christmas time, for example, all my members on ER, I sent them a diffuser ornament. I sent them samples of the Vanilla Mint body scrub because it was a brand new holiday item. People were excited about the holiday launch. So that's just kind of an example of what I would send to members who are on ER, just something exciting for them to try because you know that they already find the value in Young Living products and they're already using what they have. With the group, I will check for missed ER orders. I will also obviously invite them to classes, invite them to look at promos. For this group, I also look for people who are missing promos. And you can do this one of two ways. For me, it depends on my relationship with the person. If it's somebody that I personally enrolled and I have a pretty good relationship with them, my downline's pretty manageable right now. If I have time, I'll go in and I'll look at my pending ER orders. And if I see somebody whose ER order is pending for like next week and it's 80 PV or 170 PV, I'll reach out to that person and say, hey, I saw your ER order is pending for this date. I saw that it was 20 PV away from hitting free shipping or from hitting, a free, whatever the 190 PV promo is, just so they know. And the reason I only do that to people that I'm close with is because it could very easily be taken the wrong way. Like, okay, you're stalking on my ER order. Like, that's kind of weird. But if you're close with people, they'll appreciate that like you want them to get all the free stuff. If it's somebody that maybe is not my personal enrollment who was placed under me, or even a personal enrollment that I'm not that close with, I will kind of handle it on the back end. So I don't want them to necessarily be freaked out that I'm stalking their orders, but I will follow up with them maybe at the end of the month and just say, hey, I noticed your ER order, you missed a promo this month. Here are the promos for next month. Like, just remember, these are the different levels where you get free things. And they're probably less likely to miss a promo in a future month. So that's what I do for the most part for my members on ER. And then my members not on ER. So this is a group that I have typically not really shown the love that I should. So this is kind of my big focus the next couple months is just loving on my members who are not on ER and approaching it from a place of educating them on what they've already invested in, because these are the people that haven't had their like aha moment yet. Like they haven't found their ride or die products, their supplements. So making sure that they're first comfortable with what they have. And second, introducing them to products that could really change their life. So sending them samples, like I'm going to start sending out samples of like Super Bee and Thieves whitening toothpaste, like things that I can't be without because I know it's going to make a difference in their life. So I'm going to really push Happy Meal for this group. Check for people that are about to go inactive when you're working this list, and then invite them to classes. So the way that I invite this group will probably look a little different than the way that I invite my members on ER, because for this group, I don't want to constantly be pushing them like, try this, try that, try this, because they're not using what they already have. So for this group, I want to make sure that I'm giving them value to use what they have, but then also trying to sprinkle in some new things. All right, for my brand partners, I think the biggest thing for brand partners for me is just meeting them where they're at. I have brand partners who are ready to run and they're ready to run now, and I talk to them every day. And then I have brand partners who it's not their time to run yet. So those are the people that I might follow up with weekly. Be a friend to them, meet them where they're at, make sure they're in the business Facebook groups. If there are like life-changing business resources for you, make sure they have them. For me, it's the 4-year career. There are also certain posts within the business Facebook pages that I save. So if you didn't know, you can save Facebook posts so that you don't have to like search for it later. So if somebody posts something and I'm like, yes, I will save that post and I'll make sure that my brand partners have it. Even if it's a brand partner 2 years from now, I'm always going to have that post saved so that I can go back and comment and tag them in it. Here's where you'll also check for money missers. So anybody who is either under 50 PV for like the bonuses, or if they're under 100 PV and they've got OGV underneath of them, like just giving them a heads up, making sure they know. And then it's their call ultimately. Like if they want to up their PV to hit 100, like some people choose not to, and that's fine, but just making sure that they know and that they have the opportunity to make that decision. Invite them to business classes, or if there are any trainings that we're doing, like when we did the Rise training, invite your brand partners to do that with you. Things like convention, invite them to do that with you, and then help them create and work towards their goals. So I know that we all have our individual goals, but really like for your brand partners, it's all about what their goals are, especially now with Silverbound out. Like help them hit those bonuses and make money. And, your goals for yourself will follow when the people underneath you are hitting their goals. So just helping them first create a goal and then helping them work towards it, and then help them host classes or ask them if they want to host classes with you. Just make sure that they always feel supported so that they feel like they can do it, whether they want to do it by themselves or if they want to do it with you. So that is brand partners. And then after I do all my like member stuff, so that's 5 days worth of member activities. Day 6 for me is a back office day. So all the stuff that I just don't want to do, I just knock it out in one day. I check my stats. So I look at my OGV. I look at my goals. So every month, the beginning of the month, I set a goal. Sometimes it's a percentage I want to grow my OGV. Always it's a number of personal enrollments that I want to have. Always it's a number of classes I want to teach. Sometimes I want to improve my member percent on ER. It all depends. But if you are setting a goal at the beginning of the month and you're not looking at it until the end of the month, like you miss your opportunity to hit it. So if you're looking at it weekly, you're giving yourself the chance to pivot when you need to. If something's not working and you're 2 weeks into the month, do something else. So that's why it's really important to look at that weekly, not only look at your goal, like remind yourself of the goal, but also how are you trending towards your goal? And if you need to make adjustments, do it. I also plan my social media content for the week. So I like to plan out all of my posts because with working during the day, if I want to post something, let's say if I wanted to post something tonight at 9 o'clock, like by the time I get around to working, it's 8 o'clock. If I have to then take a picture and write a caption and then post, I'm just not going to do it. So one day a week, I will try to plan all of my social media content and then try to draft it out. And in some cases, I will even go as far as like editing my picture, putting my caption together, and just saving it as a draft in Instagram. That way, when the nighttime rolls around, all I have to do is hit post. So whatever I can do on this day to make the week easier, that's what I try to do. Prep for all my upcoming classes. So if it's like an in-person class, I'll just kind of prep a general outline of what I want to say. If it's a Facebook class, I'm prepping all my posts. This is when I mail out my happy mail. So throughout the week, as I have groups of people that I want to send things to, it's really just figuring out what I want to send. But then on the weekend, I'll sit down and I'll just put it all together at one time because it's easier to just get all your shipping stuff out and like all your sample bottles out and just do it all at the same time, as opposed to doing it a little bit throughout the week and then make any sponsor changes. So again, all the virtual office stuff, like that's all the stuff that I do in my back office day, sponsor changes, emails, like all of that kind of stuff. So that is just a quick rundown of my systems that I do. Hopefully that wasn't overwhelming. So as like the green in my personality just overcomplicates everything. So for me, like I just needed something where when I sit down at the end of the day to work, like I need to have a list and just go. Because if I have to think about what I'm going to do, I have time to talk myself out of it. So I needed something to just make it easy for me to do it. So I'm going to stop sharing and I'm going to hop to the chat because I haven't really been looking at that and see if we have questions. Let's see. Yeah, so many people are like, oh, you do it all, but then you have all your rubber balls on the floor. Exactly. Like people don't see the state that my house is in. Yeah, overwhelmed by lists. Yeah, page per person. It's very helpful. Let's see, I just want to make sure I'm not missing anything. When you send samples of things like Super Bee, how many do you send in a sample? I haven't sent them yet, but what I plan to do is maybe like 3 or 4 days worth. So Rachel gave me that idea, and I think it's great because that gives people the opportunity to try something for a couple days. Because like you could just have a really good night's sleep and take Super Bee and think that it was because you had a great night's sleep that you feel so good. But if you take it for a few days consistently and you consistently feel good, even throughout all the other variables, I think that is important. So that's what I plan to do. Yeah, so my notebook, this is why I'm so thankful for your graphics, Rachel, because my notebook is a hot mess, but it functions for me, and that's the point. So how many days worth? Like 3 to 4 days worth of Super Bee. My notebook, so the pretty little graphics that you have, I just have mine written down. So it's the first page in every tab. And that just kind of gives me an idea to like run through what I want to do. And then, so for my prospects, let me see, I've got addresses in here. So okay, this one doesn't have an address. So I have, this is like a newer one. It's going to be hard to see. I have like a notes section at the top where like in my notes for this person participated in one of my sample groups. Off to the side, I have that she was interested in the Little Oilers kit. And then I keep a separate list of products that they've tried. So if I'm sending people samples, I want to keep a list of what I'm sending them all in one place. So like she tried Thieves household cleaner, she tried a couple of the PSK oils. So when I'm following up with her, it makes it easier too, because I know what she's already tried. And if she wants to try something new, I kind of have a better idea of what to recommend. Let's see. Then for like people, so one of my business builders, Jess, and I just did a farmer's market a couple weeks ago. When we met people at the farmer's market, they went into my prospects tab and we sent people samples. So on my paper, I have what I sent them a sample of, when I sent it, when I followed up with them, what they responded with. So like one person said she didn't like the smell of Thieves household cleaner. So now I know that, like, I gave her some recommendations. She bought lemon vitality oil for me at the farmer's market. So I told her to add some lemon to it and see how she liked it. But now I know, like, one day if she moves to one of my member tabs, I'm always going to have that note that she didn't like the smell of Thieves household cleaner at first. So I just have that in the back of my mind. Let's see. Yeah, so that's kind of, it's not pretty, but it functions for me. And that's the point. If you are not distracted by your computer, you could easily do this in an Excel spreadsheet and just like copy and paste that person's row into a new tab, like as they move through your different member groups. And that would be easy. Yeah, you can do notes on people in the virtual office. I tried the digital route and it just didn't work for me. So I had to do something different. And the notebook so far seems to be working well.
And Michelle, if you've already talked about this, I'm sorry, but could you explain how they're prospects and then when they become members, they move over?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So when I have somebody who's a prospect, they just go on my prospects tab. But when they become a member, their paper stays the same. So I still have all my notes on them. They just go to my new member tab. So then now they get funneled through all the things that I do for my new members. So now they're getting a welcome email. They're getting the 3 months worth of samples while they're on fast start. So I'm not losing all the history that I have with them. I'm just moving them to a different, like, instead of following up with them on Monday, now they're on my Tuesday list and I'm doing all my Tuesday things with them. So they just kind of move to a different group. Yeah, it's easier to move them, to new groups. You guys have any other questions?
I will just say, am I breaking up? No. I will just say, Michelle taught me this, what was it, like several weeks ago? It was before April. And so I've been doing this, and when she said I would have an hour to do work, and you sit down and you're like, you have a massive list, and then you're just overwhelmed, and you like jump on your phone, and you're like hopping in groups, and you're creating content, and it's just, and then you feel like you didn't get anything done. And there's all these areas to touch on. But now I'm like, I have 30 minutes to work. Which bullet do I want to work on? So if I can't sit down and do the whole list, I'm like, I have 30 minutes. So I'll work on 2 of the bullet points for prospects. And then at night, my other 30-minute window, I'll go straight to the other 2. And it's like, I can actually check something off and know that a whole group of people was served for that day and not feel stressed. Like, it is literally, and I'm not real organized, guys. Like, I'm not like I love systems, but they have to be simple because it's hard for me to stick to a system. I've actually stuck to this one, surprisingly. So that's why I really appreciate it. And you can save these graphics to your phone. So like, I'll just pop them up and look at it on my phone throughout the day, or you can print them out. I'll let you finish answering questions, but I just wanted to say, as someone who's been doing it this month, it's working for me. It's working for me. Yeah. And I didn't like, instead of me saying this Monday's for prospects, I have just found that I'm pretty flexible, but I always pick one to work on. So.
Yeah. And I'll tell you guys, I kind of started doing all of this. So I went back to work from maternity leave in November and my OGV started to trend down. So I wasn't I wasn't holding my executive rank. December continued to trend down. When I started doing this in January, my OGV has started to climb back up. And then in March, I had some stuff going on with my full-time job that needed my attention. I put my systems aside and my OGV started going back down. And so then April, I brought my OGV back up, working on my systems. So like I can see the correlation to when I'm like focused and in the zone. It's like it's creating real results in my business. So that's why I can tell you that it works. So there's a question about when you say make new friends in the prospects list, how do you go about doing that? I think it just kind of depends on how you want to grow your business. Like if you want to grow on social media. So I'm sharing a lot of content on my social media because a lot of my members are there. So it's serving my members. But I also think that it's worth my time to make new friends on social media because I'm sharing the type of content that I think new people would be interested in. So I'm going out and like I've got hashtags that I follow. I'm a working mom, so I follow a working mom hashtag. So I'll go out and I'll see what other people are posting and using that hashtag. And I'll find people who I want to be friends with. And it's like if I feel like I can add value to them or they can add value to me, where I could create a genuine friendship with them, I'll follow them. Just because somebody fits into my target market doesn't necessarily mean that we're the right fit for one another. Because I feel like when you can genuinely connect with somebody, it sets you up to build a relationship with them a lot easier and build the trust that you need for a stranger to choose to enroll with you. So that's kind of what I do for social media, and then making new friends like in person. Just trying not to be closed off. Like it's easy for me when I go to pick my kids up from daycare to just kind of like stand with my arms folded and like wait for them to come out at the car line. But like by having a smile on my face and like being open and using the right body language, like I'm more approachable to other people. And like you can make friends that way. You can make friends at the grocery store. So if you're like an in-person kind of person, watch your body language and you'll find that by being open to receiving connections from people, that it's easier to meet new people. On your vendor event, did you only have a display and then get their contact information and send samples? So here's what I did for the vendor event. It was a farmer's market and it was at my kids' daycare. So we had some kits on display. We had a PSK and a little Oilers kit. We had some Thieves stuff on display. And then we had a couple of vitality oils to sell just for people that like wanted to leave with something. And what we did was we did a giveaway for Thieves household cleaner. And we said, to enter into the giveaway, just give us your information. Like however you want to be contacted if you win, just give us that. If it's a Facebook link, if it's a phone number, an email address, like give us that. And what we did was, it was very low traffic, which was fine because our follow-up list was manageable, but we had like 10 people to follow up with. So we decided, okay, we've got our main giveaway winner. We told everybody else that they were the runner-up prize winner and that they won a free sample of Thieves household cleaner. So we had our grand prize winner, but then everybody else won a sample and we sent that sample to them. So we also had a couple little things to make samples like on the fly. Like I bought little 5 milliliter rollers and I brought some coconut oil and like a couple oils. We also had stuff to make mask sprays. So if we felt like somebody just like needed something in their hands, we had that option, which I think was good. Okay, I think that's all the questions. Anyone else have a question? This was good.
This is so good, Michelle. Like in the comments, everybody's like, yes, yes, you're helping me to get organized. You're giving me a plan that I can easily implement. And I just think you're just such a huge inspiration, girl, because you've got a full-time job. You've got 2 littles at home. I mean, it's one of those things where like you literally don't have time but you made time, which I think is also something to remember, right? Like you decided, all right, I like my trash TV, but it's not making me money. I want to make my Young Living money, right? I want to build something for my family. And so you decided to give up, I mean, just a couple of hours, you guys. That's just so amazing. And then you just apply this system to save so much time. I love it.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's totally all your mindset, because even when like during COVID, when my daughter's daycare was closed and like I had her in the mornings, we would go to the park. I would put her in the stroller with a snack. She would get some fresh air and I would have an AirPod in listening to a podcast. So anytime I'm in my car by myself, I'm listening to a video or a podcast. Like that's my personal development time. When I'm folding laundry, like if you really, I know there's like people that speak on, if you log everything that you spend your time on for like 3 days, you will find the pockets of time that you're wasting. And then that's your time. Like if you say I need 3 hours a day to do this business, like you're going to find your 3 hours if you log your time, because you can probably find areas where you can be a little more intentional, or find things that you're giving your time to that aren't serving you. Question, when do you teach classes? Now at night. So up until now, I've been doing a lot of stuff virtually just because things in my area weren't really open. With the farmers market, that was a good opportunity to do something on the weekend. My husband had the kids, so that worked out. But that's another area where I have to be really intentional on what I spend my time on, because I love things like oily undergrounds and I love all the education stuff. But if I'm going to every class there is, I'm decreasing my business time by 50% every day of the week. And sometimes I just can't afford to lose that time. So you can make the time at night. You just have to be careful with like what you're saying yes to, and yeah, be willing to pass up on things that are fun for the sake of getting your business stuff done. How often do you teach? So right now, a lot. Right now, I am kind of in a season of like, I'm energized and I'm focused and like, I want to go, 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 go. This week, I'm doing a class, some sort of class or business training Monday through Thursday this week. But I'm staying up an hour later to make up that time because I feel like I can right now. Like I feel rested and I want to capitalize on my energy. So I'm choosing to do that. But typically I try not to do more than like one class a week if it's a period of time where like I just need that extra rest. Silver is coming. Yes, girl, I hope so. Yeah. So like when you're pushing for a rank, like you just have all that energy, like take advantage of that. And if you need to work a little harder, work a little harder. And I'm not saying like work yourself into the ground. I'm just saying like go with what you're feeling. And right now I'm feeling like I can work. And so that's what I'm going to do, because I know that what I'm working towards is worth it. Like I do have a full-time job, but one day I would love to like not have to do this, you know? So that's what I'm working towards. And until I get to a point where I feel like I don't have to work this hard, like I'm going to continue doing it if I feel like I can. Podcasts that I recommend. So Rachel turned me on to Purposeful Social Selling by Kristen Voss. It's awesome. So she's very like anti-hustle. So sometimes I listen and I'm like, I mean, like, so take it with a grain of salt. I really like that one. Another one that I like for certain things more than others is Ignite Hustle by Julie Ciardi. So she's actually a former, I think she was like the vice president of marketing for IBM. So she kind of speaks to like the type A, like corporate side of me. And she left corporate, left a multi 6-figure income to pursue network marketing and was wildly successful. So I like listening to her for like mindset type stuff. What else? So in the beginning, I was listening to all the podcasts, but I was overwhelming myself. So now I kind of feel like, find one person that speaks to you and that you like vibe with and just stick to their podcast and just like consume all their content. Because everyone's going to give you a different strategy because everyone grows their business differently. So I would say like maybe pick one or two that speak to you and just kind of stick with them.
This was amazing. You guys, if we have time for another question or two, if you want to pop that into the comment box. But oh my gosh, so much wisdom. We are so grateful for you, Michelle. Like, thank you so much for giving up your night. This could have been a class night, right? I love what you're saying with this, right? Like, you only have so many nights, especially as a busy working mom. And so you really have to choose wisely. And especially if you're in the season of like, I'm energized, I want to do my business, right? I want to teach, especially for my prospects, then you got to really be strategic about that. And I love that you're mentioning that, especially, and also with the podcast too. I think that's so wise. I think sometimes when we love information, books, podcasts, trainings, sometimes I love that what she says in that podcast. There was one where it was self-sabotage, where it was like, what did she call it? It was like it was productive, but you were getting distracted too much, right? Like you think you're productive, but you're not productively working your business, right? So that's something that is so key. And I'm really glad that you addressed that tonight. So good. Everybody's loving it. False productivity. That's right, Jerry M. Everybody's saying, thank you, thank you, thank you. You are amazing. You spoke to them, right? Especially to the greens who love to have the order and organization, but also to all people, right? Just because they want to hear how you're doing it. So if you're a pen and paper person, awesome. If you're a digital person, awesome. But I think you just provided so many like great tangible tips that everyone's going to be able to implement right away. So thank you so much. Really, your heart for helping other people, like we totally feel it. And we just want to say thank you so much for helping this community.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate it.
So good. All right, everybody. I didn't see any more questions come through. So stay tuned. We're going to have the recording available in just a little bit. Here's what I suggest, you guys. If you have team members who are not able to make it tonight, you can send them the replay. You know what also might be nice is watch the replay, do like a watch party with them, and then set out a plan, right? Like what Rachel did. Maybe go, hey, everybody, let's get in a group chat. Let's work on our list. Let's have our Monday be our prospect day, or Tuesday, right? Be following up with our members. Like work with your team members on this. When you do it with them, I think that can just be so powerful. So thank you to Rachel for that suggestion too. All right, everybody, thank you so much. And again, big thank you to you, Michelle. We are so grateful for you. Thank you. All right, bye, everybody. Thank you.